Hello, I'm Kylie Garcia, and this is the NYC Upbeat, your site for positive, inspirational, and hopeful news in New York. Have you ever been to an open mic or a poetry slam? Whether you're a seasoned poet, an art connoisseur, or you're just plain curious, Bowery Poetry is a great place to write, appreciate, and share poetry in the city.
Bowery Poetry Club, our identity is rooted in our neighborhood and rooted in the fact that New York City, and especially downtown Manhattan, is a place where for generations, artists from all over the country, all over the world have moved here to practice their art, to devote their lives to their craft. We have amazing poets here. We have amazing poets who come here to practice their art, and Bowery Poetry greatly benefits from that. Poetry is really the presentation of poetry here. Poetry becomes a direct communication of somebody's personal lives, personal experiences, personal political perspective on what's going on in their community, in their life, in their world. And this is a place for that to be shared. You know, people come to the city and they struggle as artists. It's really hard to find your in, especially as a poet. There aren't a lot of places that are presenting poetry. So we use this stage as a stage to open up to the poetry community at large, to give people an opportunity to get their start. And then we support artists who are coming up by offering them featured readings, by making videos of their poems, by getting them booked in traveling shows and at other venues wherever we can to really support emerging poets. I think being an artist can be a lonely and isolating experience sometimes, especially when you're new to a place, because so much about being an artist is taking that internal reflection time to process what you're experiencing and feeling and putting it down on paper or in a dance or in a film. So much of it is a personal reflective moment. What places like Bowery Poetry can do is really allow artists who are spending so much of their time working alone to come out and realize that they are part of a large community. City living can also be very demoralizing. You know, there's the stresses of paying your rent, about finding healthy, inexpensive food to eat, about just catching that subway that always seems to be just leaving the moment you walk down. It can be demoralizing living in a city, and we all know that. There's something about experiencing live art, especially when it's presented in such a direct and truthful manner as poetry, that just rejuvenates you. I think it's a hopeful place, and it's a hopeful community.
People move, I see the people stand, I see the people don't really understand. I see the people look and try to put me in a box. I don't want to stay in that box. What box do you want to put me in? Want to put me in? I want to break out again. Want to be free again. Want to be free again. Want to be me again. Want to be me again. Want to be free again. Want to be free again. Want to be me again. Want to be me again. Oh.
There aren't a lot of poetry clubs in the country, and almost all of them are in New York. And we have incredible partners in poetry nearby. What we've tried to do is take the possibility of competition and turn it into collaboration. We try to work with all of the other great poetry presenting spaces and organizations in the city to share our resources, share our poets, share our programming, our calendars, just really try to be a team in the arts. Everything about this city, to me, breathes poetry. People from all over the world, including myself, moved to New York to be poets and be part of a poetry community. And there aren't many places that can be said of. Nowhere like New York do you have that long-term history of it being a hotbed for literature and poetry. And to be in the heart of downtown Manhattan, in the center of that place known for literature, known for poetry, is just an incredible gift.
I wrote this piece for my exes. I wrote this piece from my exes. Dear diary. Dear diary. I'm thinking that it might be too soon since my last injury, a century of blue moons. But the winter season gets to me and rustles June's wounds, thus the injuries from him and me and us resume gloom. Plus, my memories resentfully prevent me from forgetting how I let him keep me hidden from the lessons I've collected. I'm regretting ever permitting him to lessen my blessings.
At Bowery Poetry, we have a mixture of about half shows that we produce ourselves. So that's our Poet New York open mic, our Bowery Slam, our Fantasy Star Poets reading series, our This Is Your Song music open mic, shows like that we create and host and produce ourselves. And then the other half of shows we do are shows that come in from our community and out-of-town poets and performers at large. Slam poetry is applying the scoring and competition of a sporting event to literature, which sounds hilarious, and it is. It's so entertaining. Basically, the concept is you come in and you sign up to be one of the competing slammers, and you come with three-minute poems, and you compete in rounds. At the end of each performance, people from the audience judge you, and they judge you on a 1 to 10 scale. The thing is, the people who are judging you aren't professionals. They aren't people hired by the club. They're people who are picked when they arrive. So the idea is your peers, your community is judging you. And that really just takes the pressure off the competition aspect, because it doesn't make it about trying to live up to any specific metric, but just about entertaining and engaging the audience. Out of that type of competition came this form, I would say, called slam poetry. And that form is about crafting a poem that has a strong beginning, middle, and end that is usually very political and personal, both, and hits directly to the audience. So builds in humor, builds in pathos, mixes storytelling and solo performance with poetry in a way that is just incredibly engaging, incredibly entertaining.
Not show lawns aside, his body within your own hands, but you're young. I get it. So you don't know much about the blood like I do, but if you're gonna love the beast, child, you best learn quickly how to bleed.
This place, Bowery Poetry, means so much to me. It's changed my life entirely. It's given me a home to create my art from and to fulfill my talents of organizing and bringing people together. Some of my favorite moments have been when I see how important the place is to the community at large, to some of the regulars who come through. We had a young man who'd just moved to New York, and he started coming weekly to our open mic and reading really impassioned poems, and I could see him making friends. He would jump up and start playing along with the band sometimes, and a few months into the season of open mic, he came up and did a poem saying that Bowery Poetry had been his home since moving to New York, and the community of people that he'd met here had supported him and encouraged him and really given him the confidence and courage to stay in the city. We really care that people feel comfortable and people feel protected. When you get on the stage and you're bearing your soul, we want you to know that the audience is there to appreciate you, not to judge you. And that's allowed people to be so honest on our stage. People have revealed personal information for the first time on our stage and felt supported by that. People have come in and proposed marriage on our stage. I really encourage you as a performer or as an audience member to think about the courage that it takes for that performer to get up there and just open their mouth. And if you believe in freedom of speech and you believe that an individual's voice matters, then applaud that voice.